Hello everybody, my name is Stacy Cornett. I'm here from Muskegon County Community Mental Health, and I'm, as the slide says, I'm their clinical director. Been here about 9 months, and I'm really glad to have this opportunity to talk about probably my favorite topic, which is infant mental health. Do we have people that want to kind of share a little bit about their level of familiarity with the concept of infant mental health, or do we have people that are work in this area, or is this going to be something that's new to people? Maybe how many people have kind of heard about this a little bit? And oh, yay. Okay. All right. Okay, so what I'd like to talk about today is 3 things. I'd like to talk about some of the risk and protective factors related to the development of a secure attachment, because what I want to talk about today is to put into context how, when we're helping a woman who has either about to have had a baby or has had a baby, we want to think about one of the primary tasks of supporting that attachment relationship and how this happens within the context of when there is postpartum depression. So I'd like to think about what are some of the risk and protective factors related to secure attachment. And then also how we might want to improve our ability to identify when we're seeing positive interactions as well as when we're seeing some concerning interactions between mother and baby. And how to build capacity to ensure that mothers and babies are linked to appropriate services. So I have some discussion about how we might do that and what the services are that are available. To help me in giving this presentation, I'd like to know who's out here, who am I speaking to? So how many people work with mothers and babies before they give birth in some type of early intervention, like prenatal care coordination kind of role? Do you mind telling me like what it is, what that you guys do, just a little bit more? I guess I just asked, but.
Healthy Charities West Michigan Teen Parent, Healthy Families, Prenatal and Afterbirth. Our adoption program is also represented today as well.
Oh, great. That's a lot what I was thinking. We were talking about you today. I just got done giving a presentation from 9 to 2 and ran over here. But we talked a lot about healthy families and wondering, I'm having a little mishap here, if there was that program here. So nice to hear that.
It is accredited to a lot of great in
Good. I came from Indiana about 9 months ago, and so I'm still learning the resources here. So what about some other people that raised their hand? Similar? Oh, good. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. Well, let's move forward in looking at what is our definition of infant and early childhood mental health. Many of you may have seen this, but I think it's important to, give a shout out to 0 to 3, which is our national organization that does some wonderful work in looking at early childhood, attachment, any area that is of concern to 0 to 3-year-olds and their caregivers. And they have come up with, in 2002, a definition that we use to kind of explain to others what this really means. And when we're thinking about what mental health might mean in the context of a young child, we're thinking about their capacity to form relationships with those important adults in their lives. And of course that first means their primary caregiver or caregivers. Typically a baby will form a relationship with their mother in a more, given the fact that the mother is often the one that's in the primary role in the beginning, and then form a relationship with a secondary caregiver or their father. And then of course we have those important relationships in early care that we don't want to forget about. That we have teachers, we have those that are daycare providers, and they are very strong supporters of young children, and we don't want to forget how important it is that we think about those relationships. Then we also want to think about the child's capacity to not only experience but regulate really strong emotion, or just emotion in general. That is one of the capacities that are very important in the development of young children, and when it's not there, it's brought to our attention pretty loudly by caregivers, by daycare providers, when they say we have a child that is really having challenges in their capacity to from a very young age where there's excessive crying and there's a lot of dysregulation. That brings to mind, you know, a lot of people here might have been in those situations where they think of how distressed a mother and father can be when their child is excessively crying, and we see that, you know, that's a big challenge. So think about when they become older and their inability to regulate emotions starts to look like behavior problems as well, where there's things like biting and kicking and behavior that goes along with that inability to tolerate and experience emotion. So those are things that we want to look at. And when both of those things are in place, especially the attachment relationship, we see that the child's able to trust that they can go about and learn and explore and develop an understanding of what the world has to offer them, and try to learn and develop in a way that's so nice that we like to see. And of course we know that when children are insecure in their attachment status, that there's a lack of that trust to be able to leave mom's side, to know that mom's going to be available when I need her to be. And so when we see things happening in a nice way, we see all of these things happening. I think it's also important to point out that we have to be diligent about understanding things within a context. We don't ever want to make the assumption that the way that we look at things is the correct way to look at things, and we want to be sensitive to our own cultural influences. And I really liked what our last speaker talked about, is not to say that that's a bad thing to think, but to be able to kind of embrace it. This is where I'm at. This is my cultural lens. And while it might be different than another's, I need to be aware of it. And while we're thinking about that, we need to always remember and use that knowledge to help guide our assessment of where things are at for someone, within the context of not only their ethnicity, but in the culture of the family, the culture of the community that they live in. All of those things are important. And we also want to think about how those things bring about some expectations that are very different for maybe us versus them, so that we think about those things in a different way. Many of you may have heard that term, infant mental health, and it's both a practice as well as a condition. So we talk about infant mental health as what is that, which was described here as kind of a condition, when you have strong attachment status, when you have, you know, these things. But there's also a field of infant mental health which embraces the notion that when young children and their families are struggling and how to form relationships and how to manage the mental health needs of very young children, which could look like depression, anxiety, exposure to trauma, and that whole trajectory. It could look like sensory processing issues. There's, you know, all of the mental health conditions that we can see in adults, we can see in children and very young children. But I think that it's important to recognize that as an approach, infant mental health embraces a series of things. They think that it's not always the way to help someone is to go quickly to talk therapy and trying to process things with the parent. They recognize that helping somebody to be linked to concrete, you know, having their concrete needs be met and linked to services that they need, having their crisis needs met, providing developmental guidance within the context of an understanding of who they are. So being informed by attachment theory. So I think it's important to recognize that it's different than maybe what some of our Healthy Families partners do when within an infant mental health perspective, but it sounds like you guys are trained from this way of thinking, that you understand things or strive to understand. I think that's an important point, is that you're striving to learn and be with this person in a way that reflects, I'm understanding, and I'm not coming to you with this idea that I know better, but I'm learning as we develop a relationship that what it means to you to prop the bottle has a lot more to do with than it's a quick thing to do. It might mean that nurturance and being close is difficult for me. It might mean a lot of things that aren't going to be changed by a directive like don't prop the bottle, that is not a good thing to do. So when we often find that that hasn't worked, when you give somebody the knowledge of look at how wonderful it is when you hold your baby and you don't prop a bottle, when that hasn't worked, we sometimes go to that level of infant mental health work, which is called infant parent psychotherapy, which is something that we may weave in and out of amongst those 5 things that I talked about, but that's where we're really looking to understand what are the psychological needs in this parent that are being now played out with their relationship with their baby. And that's where we see some really big challenges sometimes. We see a mom who is that baby at some point, who was neglected, was abused, now doesn't know what it means to be in relationship. And they may, by the way, have functioned very well up until this baby was born, because now it's right in their face what it means to be a parent. And so now this baby becomes, for, you know, lack of a better term, but this is actually what happens, is that this baby becomes a transference object and brings to life everything that may not have happened for them or did happen for them in a way that wasn't quite ideal. So it gives us wonderful opportunities, and that's kind of some of what we'll be talking about.